Welcome, phenomenal realtors, brokers, agents, investors, who else? Estate sale companies from across the country. Today is Thursday, March 7th, 2019, and this is Mastermind Call number 218. And we've got a great number of people in the queue, but I'll just remind you one more time, if you would like to actively participate, just hit *6 and then hit 1. Kind of a little bit of a thing that we always notice with these calls. Like yesterday, we had a great role play call, but at a quarter after, there was only one person on the line. We were trying to stretch it out, and a half hour later, I think there was 12. We had to go like 15 minutes over on the call. So please, if you know you want to participate, sign in early, and I'll probably cut the queue off at about 30 minutes after the hour to make sure we can finish on time. So a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you all for being here. Our CEO is not feeling too well today, so I'm going to pass over him. Chad, anything you want to share from a coaching training perspective?
Just remind anyone who didn't make it to the March role play call yesterday that we did an hour and 15, 20-minute role play. And you'll notice in the posting the summary is a lot longer now. The reason we're doing that, I'm trying a transcription software so we actually capture every word that's said. That way you guys can more easily search for what you need. So it's not quite as nice. The formatting's not quite as nice, but it's much more useful for us when we're searching in the Facebook group. We post those calls, but also on our website. So if you go to alltheleads.com, under the complete system, you'll see the conference call video archive. You can use the search bar in the top right, so you can search, if we talked about something and you just can't find it, just go to that search bar and type it in. And using the longer form, like a full transcription, will allow us to help you find stuff quicker. Now that we've got 500 hours of content, we're trying to make it easier for you to navigate. So the role play is posted on Facebook right now. It will be posted later today, probably this evening or tonight, in the video archive. So if you missed the role play, jump over to All the Leads Mastermind, the Facebook group, and you can see it posted there at the top. So we just got it up.
Awesome. Great. Or you could just sit there and listen to all 500 hours if you have nothing else to do, right?
And we have at least 3 people that admitted they've done that.
You had a fascinating statistic. I think that we had more minutes of views on YouTube than there are minutes in the year last year, which meant that any given time, one of our customers was, or somebody who was interested in probate was watching one of our videos. So that's why we put it out there for
29 hours a day is what.
29 hours a day. So yeah.
The content we give away on YouTube is consumed 29 hours a day.
That's like 8 days a week, right? I think that was a Beatles song. All right. Tim or Tom, anything you want to share with the group?
You're funny today, Jim, I tell you.
Well, as always, thank you.
Just a reminder that if anybody needs anything, just reach out to us. Just send an email to support@alltheleads.com. If you're in your account area, just under support, there's a contact us. We do track all those items and then assign it to the appropriate person to get back to you quickly. We do want to hear from you. We're excited about your success, and please don't hesitate to reach out. That's it.
All right, excellent. Well, we have 4 in the queue. You got another 20 minutes to sign into the queue, but do it sooner rather than later. Just hit *6 and then hit 1. And let's go to our first caller. First up is phone number ending in 5182. You're up first.
All right, thanks. Hi, everyone. Question. I was following up with one of the contact PRs that I got an appointment with through your ISA call, and he's apparently trying to sell his mother's house. And yesterday when I called to follow up, he said, that he wants to sell, but he can't sell right now because it still needs to go through probate. And that made me question what I thought I learned in the Probate Mastermind course. I was like, okay, wait, isn't selling the house part of going through probate? So do you know precisely what he meant by that?
What state are you in?
Texas. Houston, to be exact.
Yeah, so in Texas, I mean, and this is something you might be able to help like it might help you re-engage with him. You're in only in Texas, there's a provision called monument of title, and that actually allows you to carve the real estate outside of the probate altogether, so he can move forward and do whatever he wishes. Even if you don't do that, in Texas, you can go ahead and list the property, get it under contract. It just has to be contingent upon probate court approval, like here in Florida.
Right.
So he probably is just misunderstanding because it's the first time he's ever done this, and he's gotten a lot thrown at him, and he interpreted what he heard as, I can't do anything. And that's really common. A lot of people, the attorneys, when they meet with the attorney, they talk about so much, they kind of hear what their perception might be different than what was actually said. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, if he has the letters of testamentary or letters of authority, he can sign a listing agreement and go ahead and sell. And you can present that to him as, would you rather be getting ready in 3 months, or would you rather have it sold in 3 months? And then just explain that when the buyer writes the offer, you'll just make sure that it says this contract is contingent upon probate court approval, and then, move forward. But it's probably just a misunderstanding. He thinks he can't sell, but he actually can. But I would educate yourself on monument of title in Texas.
Monument of title. Okay.
Yep. And that's one of those neat little loopholes that can really raise your level of service by shortening and taking a lot of stress away from the process.
Right. So when we still put in the contract that it's contingent upon court approval, does that mean that we still need to wait for the court approval to come through before?
Usually until the next hearing.
Close on the house?
It doesn't mean you have to wait until the end of probate. It means you have to get a copy of the ratified purchase agreement to the attorney. The attorney will take that to the next hearing, and then, as long as it's a decent value and they don't feel like the estate's being abused, it gets approved and you can move forward.
Oh, okay.
There's no overbid process or anything like that in Texas.
Okay. One more question. When I asked him, I told him that, apart from selling your house, there are other things that, we can probably help you with right now, even while you're still waiting for court. Just trying to tell him that, we provide a, one-stop shop solution. And he kept saying, I have my attorney. And I found it difficult to explain to him that, you have your attorney, but they're not going to actually do a lot of those things. So how should I explain to him that, we actually augment or complement the attorney?
Sure. So this is where, and we talked about this on yesterday's call, feel, felt, found. So validate how he feels, show him how other people felt the same way. But what they found is the reality was much different. So listen, 9 out of 10 of our best clients felt the same way when we first talked to them, and that's one of the reasons we reach out so early. What they found is that when we met and kind of put some options out there, they realized that 75% of this was on their shoulders, and only the 25% that's legal was going to be done by the attorney. So our team really exists to kind of help fill that gap. So what's the one thing that you just wish you could get off your plate right now? And then be silent. Okay. So show them how, it's a common misconception that they can't do anything and that the attorney is going to do everything. A lot of people feel that, they think that in the beginning, but the reality is they're just wasting time. And you can, once you start to get some of these closed, you'll have stories to pull from, and you can say, that's what Miss Jones thought. And we actually did her entire estate in only 3 months, and she didn't lift a finger. She was actually in Kansas, so we did it all for her. And when you have those stories, that's a really impactful way to prove to get your point across. But before then, you can just say, listen, it's common for people to feel this way. You've had a lot thrown at you, and this is probably your first time, isn't it? Okay, yeah. So it's pretty intimidating, but it's what we do every day, and we find that just sitting down with the family and understanding the situation helps us see the whole picture. We know who we can bring in to help, and the end result is everything the attorney is not going to do for you, we will do and you can do as little or as much as you want, but we can handle just about everything. And then that will give them kind of that gives them trust to continue in the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Hopefully that helped. We have three more. Actually, we now have, three more in the queue. Plenty of room for more. Just hit *6 and then hit 1. Next up is phone number ending in 2402. You're up next.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi there. Welcome.
Hey, this is Danielle Price in Tallahassee. So the last time I was on Mastermind, gave some great advice as far as dropping the association. So that's honestly been helping. And actually, now that I'm getting through with conversation, I recently encountered someone who just, even after we continued our conversation, didn't matter what I said, was just not interested. But it seemed as if you would stay on the phone with me for 5 minutes, listening to what I had to say, there was some curiosity. So just trying to figure out how I continue to break through that level of disinterest or what I could try differently.
Do you want to role play?
Sure.
So you can just, I guess I'll just start from the beginning. So,
okay.
Sorry, what was your name?
Danielle.
Danielle. So ring.
Hello.
Hi, I'm trying to reach Danielle.
Speaking.
Hey Danielle, this is Chad. I'd sent you a letter. You might recognize my name, but I had a couple minutes and I just wanted to follow up and reach out and introduce myself personally. So the reason I'm calling, we've got a team of people here locally in Tallahassee that help families that are going through probate. And as part of that, we go to the courthouse and find out who's in that situation and reach out early because we know we can make a big difference. So just wanted to let you know we're here, and there's a lot of different ways we can help. It kind of starts with us understanding your situation, and we'll know where to go from there. So what's been the toughest thing for you guys so far?
Well, I already have an attorney, so I'm not actually interested in anything else.
Sure. Well, that's kind of so the attorneys we consider part of our team, if that makes sense. So they're going to handle the legal aspects, which represents about 25% of what has to be done. The other 75% is on your shoulders. So our service exists to complement what the attorney's doing for you and to help you out if you can't get all those things done or just need a hand with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm still just not interested.
Okay. Well, listen, one of the things we try to help everyone, even if we don't work with you, the one thing that we see most attorneys miss is helping families get proper insurance on real estate. If you have real estate in the estate and if it's been vacant for more than 30 days, it's not covered by a standard homeowner's policy. Are you aware of that?
I'm not, but I can just ask the question to my attorney.
Okay. Is there any real estate in the estate?
Yeah.
Okay. Your attorney obviously overlooked it, so if you'd like, I can go ahead and have my agent give you a call with a quote. I can just pull the tax card and he can go ahead and do it. And that way, at least you know you're covered today. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't hurt.
Okay. Well, his name's David, and there's a couple of companies you can write the policy with. One is American Modern. The other is Vacant Express. Those are the two that we found to be the lowest price with the best policies. So we'll at least get that in place for you. Your attorney probably won't do it, so I'll have David do the quote and give you a shout, and then you can go from there. Do you guys plan on keeping the property, or what's your plan for it?
We kind of haven't really decided just yet. Our biggest concern was just getting everything filed.
Sure. Well, just so you know, what we do, I mean, like I said, we're right here in Tallahassee, and we help families we can help you transfer the house to another family member, turn it into a rental property, sell it as is in a week, get it fixed up and sell it for top dollar. Real estate's part of what we do, but it's where most people are most stressed out, so it's what we find we end up talking about most in the beginning. So just know we've got your back if there's, and a lot of folks that we talk to, the first time we speak to them, they're in the same position you are. They expect the attorneys to do a lot more than they're actually going to, because they haven't been through this. They don't know what they don't know. But when we sit down with those families for 30 minutes and say, okay, we can get all of this property cleaned out. The house will be, spick and span, ready for photography. We can have it on the market in a week. You can go ahead and get it under contract, and the family can be done with this in 3 months versus just getting started. They find a lot of value in that, and we usually get to work immediately, and we can cut the probate process in half for most families. So does that sound interesting to you, or would you rather just slug through it on your own?
Well, I think it would probably be helpful. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got one spot on Friday at 5 o'clock. I know that's happy hour, but you're in Tallahassee, not Key West. Will that work for you?
Yeah, Friday, actually 5:30 would be better, but that general time frame works.
All right. I can do 5:30, and just so I can do my homework and make sure I am not coming into this blind, can I ask you a few questions about the property so I can do some research?
Yeah, sure.
Boom. And I'll break script. So I'll reset. I'm kind of resetting the conversation there. Now we're going to find out about the specs on the real estate, the personal property situation, the finances, and then close it out. So I have enough information to provide real options when we get there. And over that next 10 minutes or so that it takes me to do that, I'll make you laugh. You engaged with me, so I'll get you to laugh, and I'll show off a little bit my probate knowledge to help you understand. I speak the same language as the attorney, but I'm going to do everything he's not. And by the end of it, even if you go meet with 5 other realtors or investors, the contrast is going to be great. You're going to be like, wow, that was different. That guy was offering to help me in so many different ways, and everyone else is just talking about themselves.
Okay.
It was fascinating as an observer there. You were really trying to fight him, but you just after a while you just couldn't do it anymore. He was just kind of giving you so much value. You really there wasn't a logical way to say no. So, and that's really what it's all about. So, great question. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of other people benefited from that, from the role play. Excellent. Anything else? Go ahead.
I want to underscore what you said. I mean, where I see most people get wrapped around the axle is they run out of good questions too soon, or they're not thinking a couple steps ahead in the conversation. So I'm always looking for an entry point. I'm looking for anything I can get you to admit that is difficult or you don't know, then I can step in and give a layer of value. And the best way to deliver it's with questions, because you keep their mind going and you keep control of the conversation. And silence is not a bad thing. Silence is, I don't know if you've been through Mastery, Danielle, but I show you a lot of little tricks where if you leave hanging silence, that's where you get your best chance of engagement. And a lot of agents fail at that point because they don't like the silence. They let the conversation control them, and they start to, if someone's like processing and being silent, they just start talking again. And it's better to be a listener in silence than it is to be the talker. So just always keep moving forward with engaging open-ended questions, and don't be afraid to let that silence sit there, because what comes after the silence is usually what you're looking for. They unload, and when they unload and tell you about their situation, then you've built rapport.
Okay, does that help?
Okay. Yes, it did.
All right. Thank you so much for participating. We have 3 more in the queue, guys. We have plenty of room for more. Just hit *6 and then hit 1. We're still looking for our winner of the week. So if anybody has a success story, something that worked, a technique you want to share with us, just hit *6 and then hit 1. Next up is phone number ending in 7475. You're up next.
Hello, this is Tim Allums with Keller Williams Realty in San Antonio, Texas. How is everybody today?
Excellent. Thanks for participating, Tim. Appreciate it.
Excellent. 2 questions. Doing the mailers through all the leads, and just a thought, wanted to get your opinion on just a really easy question. The return address. The first batch that I mailed out, I just put my street address, but not my name. What are your thoughts in terms of best practices? Should I consider putting my name on top of my address?
So I A/B tested this. I tracked my first 12,000 pieces of mail like obsessively, just so I could learn, we could help you guys. In 12,000 pieces out, I had 6 returned, and they obviously had the return address. That's how I know. So we have very, very high deliverability, and we go through, before we show you the addresses, they go through an address validation process. Mm-hmm. So your mail will get delivered. I then said, well, what if I take just take it off completely, because that makes it an even more curious mail piece, right? They don't know who it's from. It looks like a greeting card. And I couldn't really notice that much of a difference. So I just kind of stuck with that, the theory of, well, the less information on the outside of the envelope, the more curious they'll be about what's inside. And I didn't see an impact positively or negatively. I just stuck with that because I thought more curiosity was better.
Gotcha. Now, my first batch that I mailed out, I did put the address on. I actually got like 12 returned.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's uncommon.
Yeah, out of how many letters?
300. Or actually, I think it was 284.
Okay. So, yeah, it's a little bit higher percentage, but still relatively small.
Yeah, we'd like to know who it would help us because, as Chad said, we look at this pretty carefully, and that's one thing that we work really, really hard to do, and we run this through not just one but 3 different approaches to make sure they're highly deliverable. So I want to make sure that if you'll just jot the addresses down on something and send an email to support, let's take a look at those and figure out what the scoop was with this, because the deliverability comes not only from the post office, but it also comes from services that literally work hard to make sure this gets done, and we have to pay for that. So we want to make sure that we're doing it right. So send us those. Let's take a look at them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you an update because I had gotten initially like 4 within just a few days and had communicated with support, but since then I'd gotten about 8 more. So I'd be glad to do that later today.
See, part of it sometimes happens that the address that's on there, the person that gets it just looks at it and says, well, it's not something I'm interested in. They just throw it back in and say non-deliverable. So sometimes that happens. But if it's not deliverable legitimately, we want to know about it.
Yeah, none of them had any return to sender address unknown as far as what would lead me to believe it was the recipient refusing it. So, but yeah, okay, I'll follow up with you.
Do that.
And then my next question is, what experience have y'all had with perhaps seasoning the leads? Because I'm not brand new to doing probate mailings, but this is the first time I've engaged a third-party service, and I know based on participation in the RIAs and other investors out there that there are a ton of people in my marketplace making calls, and some of my probate clients from before I even did a campaign were like, oh my God, I'm getting all these phone calls. And my thought is, what experience have y'all had with maybe seasoning those leads, maybe sitting on them a few weeks before doing that initial mailing so that I'm actually coming in after the initial barrage of phone calls and yellow letters?
It's actually effective, but I don't think you want to give up the opportunity to get those highly, highly motivated ones that will sell in the first month. Because that's where, are you an investor, a broker, or both?
Both.
Yeah, so I mean, as an investor, you want to get the ones that are highly motivated that just need a solution right now. And you get those in the first month or so. And longer term, you'll find that once 2 or 3 or 4 months passes, that's when you can have a really big impact from a brokerage standpoint. And even sometimes as an investor, sometimes they'll kind of have a mental breakthrough in month 3 and be like, okay, we've got to deal with this, and we waited too long. The procrastination, builds that urgency. But that's why we teach, kind of a minimum of a 3-month marketing campaign. And then the longer you can take that out, the better off you are. We have, in my business, I've had deals back as far as 24 months. And in our ISA center, we've had clients that have signed up and literally done nothing for 14 months. And we ran 14 months on 1 call campaign, 1 phone call each, and we got him 11 listings. 14 months old data.
Wow.
So there's definitely value the older it gets and the less competition you have, just like old FSBOs or expireds. There's a lot less competition, but you're probably going to lose all those wholesale deals on the front if you don't market both early and long term.
Gotcha. Okay, great. That's great. Great guidance.
All right, excellent. We have 4 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 5660. You're up next.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Hear you great.
Hey, this is Ed in Atlanta. How's everybody doing?
Excellent, Ed. How about you?
Doing well. So I had my first group of leads in February, and I've been working those, and so far I've got 5 maybes. So I consider that pretty good, and probably about $1 million worth of real estate in those 5 maybes. And one of them is, I mean, there's a slew of challenges with it, and I got one question around it. But so so mom died, and the daughter's named the executor in the will. Doesn't have a lawyer. I read the will online, and pretty clear that she's named the executor, but the court hasn't accepted the will. And the 60-year-old brother essentially is a squatter in the house. There's a reverse mortgage on the house. I know that from my closing attorney and also from the personal representative. And she said there's, from what she said and from what the value from the tax record, it looks like there's going to be some equity there. My question is, she says that, the decedent, her mother, was in bankruptcy, and the mortgage company's given her some challenges as far as even communicating with her at all. And I'm just wondering how it works when, in fact, the decedent was, in bankruptcy.
I've never dealt with one that had a reverse mortgage and bankruptcy. I've dealt with a lot of bankruptcy with living people. Essentially, if someone passes away, I mean, I would get her to a probate attorney is what I would recommend, because she doesn't.
Yeah, no, I know. I've got a couple that I'm hopefully, I'm just starting, so I haven't given them anything yet. But she's like number one that I want to give to this one guy that actually. He's got a whole firm. He's got like 5 or 6 attorneys working for him. It's all they do. I want to get her to him, but she said I can't afford it. And obviously, I said, well, it'll come out of the estate. And then she just kind of went silent on me. So yeah, that's something I need to do. But I was just wondering if you do.
Well, she can't afford to not do it.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
I was just going to add to it.
Here's the deal: they're going to lose all the equity, and her brother's going to be out on his ass. So she can't afford not to do this. Like, you need to have a legal, someone that understands Georgia law to help you, well, in federal law, but to help with this, because, I mean, it's too complicated for her to do on her own. And if she sticks her head in the sand, she's going to lose everything and have a homeless brother.
Plus, the court rejected her will, too. So.
Do you know why?
She's not really. It's legalese, frankly. There's reasons, but it might be something as simple. I didn't really read too deeply into it. I kind of glossed over it, but I think that it could be as simple as it's not an original, or there's not proper affidavits for the they didn't find all the possible heirs. Something is wrong there, but at the end of the day, they haven't accepted
even
it.
So, even if the will's not validated, she can still be appointed as the administrator. She won't be the executrix. She'll be an administrator, which she has the same authority and the same responsibilities. So that you shouldn't have any problem with her moving forward unless someone's objecting to her appointment. Now, if that's the case, if someone challenged the will and then the court said, okay, this isn't a valid will and threw it out, and then they challenged her being the personal rep, then you've got a bigger problem. But I didn't hear that. So I think that the only play you have is get her to an attorney who can definitely answer the questions of, here's how we handle bankruptcy for a deceased person, and and that Georgia law is going to be part of it, but federal bankruptcy law is going to be part of it too.
Yeah, and Ed, I was going to add, my wife does short sales. She's done over 2,000 of them. I know with the short sale you have to withdraw the bankruptcy before you can do the short sale, but when someone passes away, it would void the bankruptcy. And worst case, again, I don't want to pretend to be an attorney, but be pretty easy to withdraw the bankruptcy of somebody who's deceased because they no longer need it. That may have to be done to move forward with the sale and not, not have the assets go to creditors. But yeah, I would check with a really good attorney. I suspect it won't be terribly difficult, and especially if there's some equity there. If there's any equity at all, something the family gets is better than nothing. And if there isn't any equity, if you determine it's a short sale, just let us know. We can handle that for you also. I'll pass that on to my wife. She's been doing it for about 12 years. And
Yeah, I already talked to her, actually.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
Yep.
All right. Well, you already got the best advice, so good. But if there is equity, go ahead.
I think there is. I mean, it's like she's doubtful that there is because so the will says that the 60-year-old squatter son gets $2,000, and then the sister she's in charge of everything. And it looks like if the house were in good condition, there'd probably be $100,000 there, but the sister doesn't even know if the power's on. And it sounds like it's pretty bad situation over there. So depending on how messed up the house is, there may or may not be equity, but we'll see. I appreciate the advice.
And you know how much debt was disclosed on the bankruptcy filing? You know what the amount of? Okay. Because even if there's $100,000 there, it might get wiped out if they continue with the bankruptcy, and I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, actually, you know what? I think I'm getting them mixed up here, but I'm pretty sure that she mentioned that there was pretty good amount of hospital bills. $40,000 in the last month of life.
That might eat up the equity that she has, and she may just say, "The hell with it. Let my brother deal with it on his own." He's not going to get his $2,000. But
yeah, he's going to get a sheriff's deed at some point. But
right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. You're very welcome. Next up is phone number ending in 0156. You're up next.
Hi. Thanks for letting me talk on here. My name is Mark.
Sure.
I'm 21 years old. I'm from Ohio. I've been investing for about 8 months now, and I've done around 6 deals.
Good job, man.
One question, I noticed I work with a lot of distressed properties, so most of them are vacant. But I've noticed that most of these properties are actually probate, so probate and vacant. So my main question was, is it better pretty much just to work with, a probate attorney instead of maybe, I know you guys are doing some direct mail, but I like to cold call. So I was just kind of wondering what's the best place to get probate leads, to start cold calling them.
You're here. So
yeah, that was an easy question.
We provide leads in every county in Ohio. We're going to give you the full information for the personal representative as well as the full information for the attorneys. So we have a section we push it into a CRM designed just for this lead type. So you can just simply click download attorney list, or you can print attorney list, and it'll download it in a spreadsheet or print it on like a 2-column PDF. So you'll have your list of attorneys with their name, firm name, phone number, and about 20% of the time you'll find an email address for the attorneys.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed I'm getting some emails from you guys, and it seems like you work with a lot of probates, so that's pretty cool there. I'm working on a deal right now. It's a probate situation. There's 2 brothers on the deed. The mom passed away a long time ago, but right now it's just 2 brothers. One brother is paying the back taxes, and he wants to sell the property for a cash offer and get it off his hands pretty quick. But I'm having a lot of troubles with the other brother who pretty much hasn't seen the property in 20 years, doesn't pay the taxes or anything. I guess, is there any solutions or anything that you guys would recommend?
Is there a will?
I believe there is.
So you need to find out what the language in the will says.
Okay.
And I don't know if you misspoke or if they're actually, so you're saying that the mother already had both sons on title with her when she died?
Well, the weird situation is that the mom kind of gave the brothers this property, and like I said, one of the brothers, he's been in and out of jail, so he really hasn't done anything with the property, and he just doesn't want to sell it at this point. So
So the mother's name was not on title when she passed away.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not even part of the probate because she quit claimed it before the probate.
Correct.
This is no different than any deal. I mean, you've got, you have to have a ready, willing, and able seller. So you've got. I mean, if he wants to dig his heels in and not sell, there's not much you can do. Now, what can be effective here is waving that money in front of him, and sometimes you have to become an intermediary and say, listen, I know your brother's an asshole, and you don't have to talk to him, but please talk to me. And almost like a divorce deal, you just have to individually talk to each of them if the relationship has gone that sour. But show him the benefit of getting this, and how much equity do you think is in it for them, or do you have an idea?
Yeah, the property, the ARV is like $60,000, but it's free and clear right now. They just have around $5,000 in back taxes.
And what would you be willing to pay for it?
I have a contract. I sent it out to the brother. He signed it for $20,000. But the other brother right now, it's just back and forth with him.
And have you haven't had contact with the other brother?
Yeah, I've talked to both brothers. The brother who's having issues signing it, he said he would sign it, but it's just at the point where he just isn't opening the DocuSign and not returning phone calls at this point.
How much earnest money did you offer them?
So usually to be honest with you, I only put around 10 to about $50 earnest money down.
You're crazy. I only do $1.
Exactly.
You're going to lose your ass, son. So one thing that's been effective for me in the past in situations like this, if you can put a big earnest money deposit down, and I mean like put $1,500 in front of them and say, guys, listen, I'm serious about this. You've both told me you want to sell. In good faith, here's $1,500. This is being deposited in escrow today. If you can please just sign this. And it's just it's an emotional impact thing, right? It's like when you're buying a car, you show the guy the cash when you negotiate. And that will sometimes break people loose. It becomes real when they actually see them, like they see more money. I bought a house one time. It was a $600,000 house. I bought it for $190. And I put $45,000 earnest money on. And I know for a fact 2 of my buddies got beat out, and they offered more than I did, but the earnest money got me the deal.
Okay.
So you might be able to do that. The other thing is, you need to figure out what his apprehension is. It may just be like he needs to have he hasn't processed emotionally or selling mom's house. And if that's it, you can say, listen, we work with a lot of families in your situation, and regardless of what happens with the house, it's not going to bring her back. But don't you think that you owe it to your brother to move forward? I mean, you haven't seen this house in 20 years, and he needs the money, and I'm sure you could use $10,000 too, couldn't you?
Yep.
So can you please check your email and just DocuSign that, and I'll handle everything. Like, I know this is going to be hard, but you guys don't have to do anything. I'll take care of it all. And just try to talk him down if that's his hang up. And if he's just trying to be a thorn in his brother's side, then you can say, listen, you both lose. Like, this is a lose-lose proposition for you guys. And worst case scenario, if you sign this, you get $10,000, and he's still an asshole, but you've got $10,000 in your pocket.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have 4 more in the queue. I'm going to close the queue now, make sure we get to everyone. And one thing I just wanted to add, Mark, I kind of heard an unasked question there. I think you were sort of asking whether it's better to call the executors or the attorneys. And honestly, the answer to that is yes. Call them both. The executors are the now business. They can make the decision. They don't need their attorney's permission. But the attorneys can be a good long-term source of referrals for you. So work both sides. If you get the data, if you get it from us or you get it yourself, if you get the data, work both sides of it, because you'll definitely get deals from both sides of it.
Thanks a lot,
Mark, jump onto alltheleads.com and go to the top right in that search bar and put in attorneys or attorney. And you'll see a lot of content where we've talked about this, and there's tips from the trainer videos. There's these calls. We teach you to role play, or we role play to teach you how to interact with the attorneys. But there's a lot of resources on our site that'll help you out. And then we also have trifold brochures that we do. It sounds like you're not interested in direct mail, but we have these brochures that are really effective with attorneys. It shows that you know your stuff and you're kind of established as a probate expert in your market. So you might look into those too. And face-to-face is going to be best with the attorneys. It can be done on the phones, but it seems to be much, much easier and more effective to show up in person.
Well,
all right. Thank you so much. We have 4 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 2145. You're up next.
Yes, good morning. This is Tom in Orange County, California. It's still morning here. So
hey, Tom.
I hope everybody is doing well today. I wanted to get your comments and input specifically on transfer on death deeds, TODs, or they're also referred to as beneficiary deeds. And it states that the property will pass upon the death of the owner. And I guess it allows the property to pass to another individual without going through the probate process. And it looks like there's about 20 states that have adopted this deed, including California. And I was wondering if you could essentially comment about, is this a increasing trend across the U.S.? And because obviously the TOD makes it easier to complete the real estate transaction since there's no court matter involved.
Right. And in some markets it requires a spousal property petition, like where if you hold title as joint tenancy with, and especially with survivorship, you basically just sign one piece of paper and the house is now out of probate. So it's common in more affluent zip codes, like, well, I don't know if that's a fair statement. It's where there are more attorneys, it's more common. And in California, you know, we have counties with over 2 million people that only see like 20, 25 probates a month. And that's because a lot of people have estate plans. So they set up a living trust, or if they didn't quite have enough assets to make, you know, where a living trust didn't make sense, they've just structured the title to their property, their, you know, their stock portfolios, their retirement accounts, their life insurance, their home, their real estate, even cars and bank accounts. If you title things in a certain way, it can be exempt from probate. So that's why it's more common where you are. There's just more attorneys pushing that business. But the reality is it doesn't really change the situation. It just makes things easier. All the motivations that are there to you know, dissolve assets and or liquidate assets to move forward, all the motivation factors are still there. It's just easier for them and they're in more control. So it can actually really work in your favor and the family's favor. Instead of spending 12 to 18 months on a California probate, you can, you know, have the most valuable asset liquidated within a couple of weeks. So,
right.
And then they can, that money can go into settling the estate if they wanted to.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chad.
All right. Tom, I know you're doing well. Keep it up and keep coming back. We appreciate it. Next up is phone number ending in 7487. You're up next.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Colette Clift Myers in Houston, Texas. And I wanted to make a comment, too, that I noticed over the last 3 months that I've actually gotten a lot of address not correct envelopes as well. And I'm glad somebody said something because I've just been going back and researching it myself and then reaching back out to the recipients to make sure that it's going to the right address. So I don't know if that's working for anybody else, but I mean, that's actually a segue into a phone call, is that I did send something out and it came back. So that's working for me, just in case it happens to anybody else.
And what are you finding, Colette? Like when you talk to them, are they giving you the same address that it bounced from?
No, a lot of times the address is different. I had one where they had moved it. The letter went to Georgia, and they were actually living back in Sugar Land, Texas. So they had actually moved back, and I guess for whatever reason the address didn't catch up with them. And it wasn't recent. They had been living here for about a year. So they should have been on file somewhere, but for whatever reason, I guess that Georgia address just popped up, as a more desirable address on the, on LexisNexis or wherever they're doing their research from. And it could be that they still have
we're pulling
an
it
address
from the court record, like it's coming off of the court information. So we're not like going out and trying to find their address. We're taking, that's one of the pieces of public information. So they had to write that Georgia address on the petition for probate.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder if maybe they gave that address and they had just, sometimes if a loved one is sick for a period of time, they might put things into motion at least a year or so before the person actually passes away. And if they've moved, then, the address or the information that they initially gave their attorney may have changed and they may not update it with their attorney too. So I think that's a possibility. Right. But anyway, everybody that I've reached out to in that synopsis, they've always been, they've always been forthcoming. They've always given me an updated address if it's correct. If I've gotten a hold of them, they've always given me an updated address. And the other ones I just don't worry about, I just try to correct it. If I can find it online or if I can do my own research, I'll correct it. If not, I just haven't worried about it. I just move on. But I'm just throwing that out there because it is a good segue. The phone numbers have always been reliable, so I haven't had any issues with phone numbers being incorrect.
Yeah, it would help us if you would, same thing we said to the other caller, if you would put a few of those together and let us take a look at them. We want to make sure, and it would be even more helpful if you could give us the accurate address that's there, because as Chad said, we pull it from the court record. We don't go out and invent the address. We take it right off the court docket, and what we validate is that that's a deliverable address. It may not be, it sounds like since both of you guys are in Texas, maybe something we need to look. If we need to take another step to try to figure this out better, we'll do it. We're always trying to get better. So send us some info. We'll help you out.
Yeah, I've been putting together a spreadsheet for it, so I'll just flip you guys over the spreadsheet. That's not a problem. The other thing that I wanted to do is it's kind of a dual thing. One, I've been working with, or I got a phone call from somebody from a year ago. It was actually a year ago this month, and it's a luxury property. It's actually right behind my neighborhood in a gated community where most of the properties are $1 million plus. And he got a brochure and a letter from me a year ago. We had spoken. He really wasn't in a place. I kind of, did a little touch marketing and kept up with him. But I was surprised when he called me, and I just went the other day to pick up the listing agreement from him. He had it signed, had his attorney look at it, and he's ready to move. So it'll actually be a dual thing for me. I'm going to downsize him out of his huge house and downsize him into something smaller and then put his property up on the market since his wife passed away. So he wasn't at a place a year ago to do it, but now he is. So I think that's a real win because I've reached out to him and given him different resources over the past year, and sometimes it takes that long. Most of the properties don't take that long to obtain, but some cases, the really good ones, you have to wait a little while to get. So I'm really excited about that. But the other thing that I was going to do is I was going to say from that is the ISA campaign. And I have just noticed over the last couple of months that the people that are doing the prospecting have done such a great job gathering information. And I'm reading these synopsises that they're giving me. And I mean, it's incredible when I go back and I do the follow-up. I've got so much information that I wouldn't normally have. And I just wanted to do a shout out to them. I mean, a couple of them are really consistent. Sean, Lisa Mayer, and I think Letitia White or Latrice White. They just do a really, really good job of fact gathering, and it makes my job so much easier as a realtor to go out and organize the resources and have the conversation pretty much bullet pointed, ready to go before I even make the phone call. So I'm just throwing that out there to say, I think I think that that's great what they're doing. I mean, they've come a long way. I mean, this is more of a recent thing, but I went back and looked over the past like 6 or 8 months, and they've really gotten to a point where they've really got it down.
Well, that is great. I think most of them are on the call, so you just made their day. Thank you so much for your kind words. That's good. It's good to know.
Yeah, they've done a really great job. Yeah.
And congratulations. So far, I think you're in first place for the win of the week, those deals you put together. So thanks so much for sharing that also.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed it. And, you know, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect all the leads member. Sometimes I miss out on the phone calls. And when I'm driving long distances, like when I drive down to the valley here in Texas, I'll go to Facebook and pull a call up and listen to them. But I'm trying to be consistent. But just like everybody else, you know, sometimes life and business just kind of get in the way and you get a little bombarded. But what's always consistent is the mailers going out and the follow-up calls. I mean, those are consistent, and they do give me a nice, steady amount of probate business. So I'm happy with that. So just thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And we hear that all the time about the leads. You know, a significant portion of them are ready to do something now, but this is an emotional process. There's a lot of reasons that people will put your letter away and call you a year later. So we hear that all the time, Colette. Great job. We appreciate it. And there's 2 more callers, but I think you're in good shape for the win of the week. We appreciate you sharing. And we've got, let's go to the, okay, thank you so much. Next up is phone number ending in 6248. You're up next.
Good morning. It's Joyce from Orange County, California calling. I had a question for you on my appointment that I went on. The executor of the property asked me if I would get him a pool man and see what it's going to take to put his pool in saleable condition. I got the information, and I have been calling the gentleman and not getting a pickup on the phone, no voicemail. And so I'm thinking, what should I do? Should I write it down and take it to his house and put it in the mailbox? Or what do you do whenever you don't?
Have you tried texting him, Joyce?
I haven't tried texting because when I talked to you about this last week, you said that there were some issues with text marketing, and I was wondering, would this be interpreted as marketing?
No, if it's a single text message and somebody has asked you, I wouldn't worry about it. I thought I was addressing like a campaign, a text campaign is what you have to be careful with, TCPA violations.
That
but
is
to
what I was
just
asking
somebody who's already engaged with you, who you have something that they ask you for, you're not good. You don't have any liability just texting him what he's already asked you for. I mean,
Perfect.
It's highly unlikely he would complain about getting what he wants.
Okay, I'll give that a try. Thank you.
But
all right, great.
I mean, if that doesn't work, Joyce, you can always drop by the house. Just make a handwritten letter, and drop by the house and drop it off.
Okay.
And just say, call me to discuss. And ideally, you want to get him back on the phone, not just give him what he asked for, and not have not have contact with him.
Right. Okay. I'll do that. Thank you.
Great job. Keep up the good work. And our last caller of the week, and we have 5 minutes to go. Boy, this is perfect timing, almost like we planned it this way. Phone number ending in 8584. You're up last this week.
Hi, this is Linda from California, and I'm just getting started in this process and listening to your calls. And 2 questions. When in the probate process can they sell the property or list it?
So as soon as they have the letters of testamentary, they have the authority to sign a listing agreement. But in California, you can list it, you can get it under contract, but you have to have an appraisal, and it has to go back for court approval and an overbid process. Unless the executor has petitioned the court for full authority, then they can go ahead and proceed with the sale at their own pace. but most people in California will go through an overbid process. And so what that looks like is you go to the courtroom, the contract and evaluation is presented, and then the judge will call for an overbid, and there's a minimum amount that you have to overbid. So people, it works a lot like a trustee sale, a foreclosure auction. So you have to have, you have to have cashier's checks for money down on the spot in order to actually overbid the current contract. And in most cases, if you're selling homes at retail price, you don't have to worry about it. They're usually not going to be overbid because it's not a very simple process. Usually a conventional buyer isn't savvy enough to show up there to get a deal or, to buy a home that way. And most realtors aren't really that aware of it either.
And the letters of testamentary, when are they issued?
After
right away?
Hearing, so, well, in California, California and Florida are the only two places in the country that I'm aware of that are taking some time. They're a little backed up, it seems. So usually, and for most people on this call, as soon as we make contact, they have the authority. But in certain parts of Florida and Southern California, there seems to be a backlog. So sometimes they're waiting a month or 2 months to actually get the letters so they can move forward. What you can do in that case is get a letter of intent signed. Are you coming at this from brokerage or investment or both?
Realtor, brokerage.
Okay, so sit down with your broker and write a letter of intent to list. And it doesn't have any real legal bearing. Like it's a letter of intent's only worth what the paper it's written on. But you get a mental commitment. And when the competitors come in behind you, they know in their mind they've signed something with you, so they've already made a commitment to you. And it doesn't have any real legal standing, and you're not going to enforce it. But it's just they know that they made a commitment to you at some level. And that's going to be in their mind if anyone else is talking to them. So talk to your broker about what you can do with a letter of intent to list or a letter of intent to represent seller, and have it where you sign it or your broker signs it and the seller signs it, and then that way you at least have a good reason to stay in touch, and they've given you as much commitment as they can right now. The other way to keep them on the hook is to find any way you can to help them right now. So you heard me role-playing earlier about vacant house insurance is a really good hook that gets people's attention. You can go ahead and get that in place. You can help get a maintenance, you can secure the property, change the locks, get maintenance in place, hire a pool boy. Like there's a lot of things that you can do, proactively to make their life easier while they're waiting on that. And that, it's not going to require much work from you at all because someone else is going to actually do it. You're just going to make a phone call. So, but the perception is huge. Like, they're going to be like, wow, she really stepped up. And very few people are going to offer to do that. So while you're waiting a month or two on the court, they'll talk, they might talk to 20 people that just, all they want to talk about is the house. And you were focused on the situation and helping him. And that makes a huge difference when it comes time to do business.
Got it. Okay. Last question. Once you send a letter and you make that first initial phone call and you get a message machine, should you leave a message or should you just keep trying to catch them?
Depends on your call frequency. If you have the time and if you can make multiple rounds through the list, then don't leave voicemail. Just keep calling until you've spoken to everybody. If you don't have the bandwidth to do that, if you're just going to call once a month, absolutely leave a voicemail and keep it simple. Hi, this is Chad. I sent you a letter last week. Had a couple minutes to follow up. Just wanted to make sure you understood why we sent it and that you actually got it. Give me a call when you have a chance. And I'm not keep the realtor label off of it. Don't talk about real estate. Just say, I sent you a letter. Give me a call.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Excellent. Guys, thank you so much. Great call today. I always end these calls the same way. I want to thank all 100 plus of you that showed up today. You took the time to be here. I want to particularly thank the people that contributed on the call, shared stories and successes with us. And I want to challenge each one of you, take one idea, one thought, one thing that inspired you on this call. Go out and put it into practice and come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week. We will talk to you soon. Take care.